I think I may have actually figured out what was going wrong with Microsoft Word crashing on this computer. So, me. Yeah, this is how. What? I swear to God, I did not plan this. Let me start again. I think I may have figured out what went wrong with Microsoft Word because I mentioned that it kept crashing, and I was just opening up a blank Word document to mess around with it, and when I tried to enable bold text, the dog told me that the Word didn't have enough memory. And that led me to, okay, maybe I don't have enough RAM in this virtual machine. And indeed, I did only have 128 megabytes of RAM on the virtual machine. I believe Windows Millennium supports 512 at most, but you can get up to 2 gigs, I think, with some patches that I'm not going to bother using. I'm struggling with this one. This is the first chapter where the rogue, the hero, finally goes out of her little hometown. And she gets into a fight, and I want this first chapter to be the most video game chapter I can think of. I mean, the fighter yells battle formation, and then all of the characters just separate, and they all just, form lines. Another thing I wanted to do to sort of make this outlandish is the rogue just like does this, backhand sweep, and instead of sending the kobold flying to the side, he just flies backwards as if he just gotten punched directly in the face. The next mage announces it's his turn, and he basically, chooses the defense command. So he raises his staff, the other enemy just stands there and watches, and fighter literally turns around and runs back to his spot. After all the enemies are dead, the heroes just do their little victory pose. I wanted here to, someone just said, yes, I leveled up, hooray. I changed that because I don't want the characters to realize they're in a video game world. So you might know where I got this, but this is basically an indication that he just leveled up. There are no roads connecting the hometown from the second city of the game. And that's where I sort of got hung up, because why would you not have roads connecting the cities? But I also thought, okay, I don't really want the characters to sort of leave their homes. Like, I kind of want everyone to be sort of trapped within their little town so that they don't have experiences in the outside world, and they generally don't experience battle. So when you get these random encounters, literal turn-based encounters, nobody finds it that odd, because, I mean, what the hell do they know? What I haven't decided, and I think I know what direction I want to go, is who set up this system of the monsters just coming from the underground, and how many people know about this? How many people understand that these monsters are just being fed through a loop into a grinder? I don't think I've done anything, but again, I'm going to save. Yeah, I can tell I haven't done anything, because when I hit save, the little dock didn't do anything. See, if I do something and then hit save, do a little animation. So that's pretty cool. So here's basically what I'm working with. I'm just going to write down my notes. So what I want is this bridge that's connecting the two, sides of the plains. From the bridge to the city walls, I want sort of like not a no man's land, but that's where the farmers just sit. Here's one explanation I thought of as to why there's no roads. I'm probably not going to go with it, but what I thought of was maybe cartography is thought of as a really important and difficult skill to learn. And of course, if you are a map maker, you would want to convince people to not do anything that would negate the need for a map. Hence the no roads. I think I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm probably going to try, alright, the reason for the no roads is because everyone's supposed to be isolated in this world, so they can't really communicate with each other. Even Rogue, the main character, has not actually been outside her hometown. She does know a lot about maps, because she studies them. Having memorized the topography of the land, she could guide her parties with a mini-map in her mind. Like a mini-map. But again, I want to use video game terminology. Right, so how do we turn this, because this is boring and it looks like a Wikipedia article, into a cool story? I don't know how woodworking, I don't know how carpentry actually works. So I need to make sure I'm using the correct terminology. So I want it to be smooth. Okay, thank you. All right, I want it to be like when you have like the wax finish or whatever, so the wood looks really smooth and shiny, and I just wanted to make sure that technology existed. So I want this really nice bridge, finely detailed bridge. I'm thinking of like in a video game where like one random piece of geometry is just so much more detailed, and it really doesn't, it's really not that important, the bridge, but the fact that it's so well constructed as opposed to the copy paste shacks that all look the same. You kind of have this like you know what, let me just draw it. First we save. So what I'm trying, oh right, I can't. I'm so used to modern Windows, I can just drag this to the top and it'll automatically expand. Nope. So here's what I want to convey. Here's some planes. So anyway, there's a I probably shouldn't. Anyway, there's a river. Okay. That's the point I'm trying to get at. And here's this bridge. Okay. It's a really nice bridge, and I'll find a better way to phrase that. Okay. And we have the city walls, let's say here. So here's the city walls, and then inside is the city or whatever. There are just shacks. I'll just draw shacks around. Now I'm starting to wish I had just drawn I might even just like create this entire world in Minecraft just to make it easier for me to walk around it and try to. Actually, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that at some point. Okay. Anyway, here's So there's a large fence that's blocking the farm. You mother of a. Okay. Well, I guess this is as far as I can go. Oh. Alright, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Okay, you can still see the mouse, whatever. So we're walking up, and there is no path connecting the bridge to the city door, which I can no longer draw, but imagine it's right here. And I want that to sort of reflect the fact that all of the cities are being isolated, so they can't really talk to each other, they can't really explore the outside world. That changes in the beginning of the story, and it causes a lot of problems. There is this sudden goblin attack at the homeland, and it causes a bunch of adventurers to be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna come and start fighting. And it's more adventurers than normal. There are people who, go out and explore, but it's all planned out how many people do this and where they're going. But ever since the goblin attack, people are just rushing. Because imagine if your hometown just got invaded. You'd be pretty pissed off. You'd be ready to sign up for the army. But because the way the world is created and the idea that everyone should be isolated, mostly so they can't figure out what's actually going on with the underworld and the monsters. So these are fences, and there's farm plots in there, and there's a fence door or something. This isn't really the best idea, because you don't want your food source to be exposed to the outside world, but the problem with medieval-style cities is you need walls. You can't not have walls, because your city's just open to attack. The problem with building walls is what happens if you... Okay, here, this is the... Which one is it? This one. What happens if you run out of What happens if you run out of room in the city walls? Well, you have two options. You can just start building up, or you can find more room and start making buildings smaller. The third option is to expand the walls, but that's about as easy as it sounds, which is to say very expensive and time-consuming. And somebody would have to be outside, building the walls. So expanding a city that's already been built is not an easy idea. So there goes our... That also basically destroys my theory that increasing the RAM would fix my crashing problems. I don't even know how to reinstall Microsoft Paint, but there we go. I regret every second of that explanation. So Rogue starts to question why are there no roads. And she kind of already brought this up, so let me make sure I didn't address it earlier. Okay, see, I already asked this question, so I don't want to ask it again. So I can't have her ask that question. And this is like probably 30% of the writing process, just staring at your manuscript, not knowing what to say. Because the idea you had is not valid. So what I want to do is I want to show that the city walls are about 1.5 times the height of an average person. So I figured I could probably jump half my height. And I know I'm not on camera for this, but I went and got tape measure. I'm 5'6", so let's just say 3 feet. 3 feet, can I jump higher than this desk? Rogue is an acrobat, so what I want to show is that the city wall, is short enough that she could actually jump high enough to grab the top of it. And once she gets a grip on that, she can just climb herself up. What she's doing right now is stretching her heels. Stood on her toes, then let her knee. So she's doing some like calf stretches, and let her heels rest. F. For 1 or 2 seconds. Now I want her to do squats. Bent her knees until... I'm literally doing a squat so I can describe it. Until her... What the hell is the top of a leg? A thigh. Right? Oh, God. Can't believe I just want to make sure I can't actually go anywhere. Okay, what is a thigh? It's the thigh, right? The thigh is the area between the hip and the knee, yes, okay. So this is a sort of subtle indication that what she's actually doing is stretching. Writer scoffed louder. Can I get a better word for scoffed, like a stronger word? I'm guessing laugh. Jeered. How about that? Make rude muck, typically in a loud voice. Yeah, I think, jeered. Let's go with that. So here's something. I guess technically there's an alleged rule that you shouldn't end a sentence or a clause or phrase with a preposition. What they should write is, it was a talent upon which she would call. This is the alleged correct way to write it. I've looked at the Chicago Manual of Style. I think I've looked at the MLA, whatever that's called. I don't think there actually is a rule that says you can't end a sentence on a preposition. Number one. Number two, this is such an awkward way to phrase it. It just feels so much natural to say this. So that's my little mini rant about dumb rules that don't exist. And if they do, I don't care. Expecting a face plant. Now, there's no way this word existed in the medieval period. This is not a term I should be using. So we have to do synonym. Actually, I don't actually want to say faceplant. That doesn't even mean what I want. Can I throw my legs forward in the air? Yeah, I can do that. Okay. I didn't actually say what the wall was made out of, so this would be a perfect time to say it. She pressed her knees against the stone to stabilize herself. The biceps took over from there. What the hell muscles am I using if I'm trying to climb? Big biceps, right? Let me just look it up. What the fuck is a latimus dorsi? You know what? Her shoulders and her... began to take more of the load. He had never seen anyone walk up before. Instead of saying the wall is tall enough that if you jumped, you could barely reach the top, I basically created this scene where she started doing some stretchings and a run toward it. I think that's what's meant by show don't tell, because I could have just wrote this. There we go. I could have just said this, and this would be telling you what happens. But I know in a couple prior video I had mentioned one time where I did not want to show, where I wanted to tell. In this case, I do want to show because I want to emphasize the fact that these walls are tall, but they're not tall. They're not tall enough. This is going to be a theme. One of the themes of the story is whether this Duke, who we haven't met yet, actually cares about his people. If whether Fighter is correct when he says this, because this is an argument that the Fighter and the Mage have, is whether this Duke is just an idiot, or he's doing his best, or he's honorable or not. And this whole scene shows you he will build walls to protect his cities, but he won't build walls that are tall enough to actually protect his city. The only people he's going to stop are people who are lazy and who just give up at the first sign of resistance. How many words did I add? First, I'm saving. I'm not writing all that again. 1760, not bad. I will say I think I actually did fix the word, because Word did not crash. Everything else crashed, but Word did not crash. I'm going to take that as a victory, and I'm also going to make a backup of this. Alright, excellent. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.